And I consider this to be kind of a super group because I love you both, and it was one of those things when I heard you were playing together, I thought, well, that's going to be really interesting. And then when I heard you together, I thought, wow, this makes too much sense. You know, it's just tell me how, to begin with, how you came to play together.
Well, the first thing's, I think, fandom. I was a really big fan of the Blake Babies.
And I was a really big fan of Not a Surf.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually know each other, or did?
Not at first. We knew each other through records at first, and then we met. We're not sure if it was Austin or Boston.
Austin or Boston.
Yeah,
I like
one of those two cities we met. Our paths crossed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like mutual admiration society. And then I eventually asked, about 5 years ago, I asked Matthew if he would sing on a song of mine for an album I was working on, and that was a wonderful experience. And then a couple of years later, I sang on a Not a Surf song, and it was just so easy.
Abby, you were telling me that at one point you played behind Juliana at Joe's Pub.
That's right.
And you actually practiced like in the stairwell in the back?
That's right. Well, she'd asked me to come and sing what I'd done on her record for her show there. And we ran over the songs in the stairwell holding electric guitars not plugged in, you know, really quiet. And that was the first time we'd actually really sung together. And I remember that we both emailed each other after that show like, hey, you know, I really enjoyed singing with you. That was really fun and easy. And that, I think, was when for some time after that, I think we took turns saying, you know, hey, why don't we do something together sometime? And the other person, because of obligations, would non-committally say, yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Right.
And then we never made any plans.
It goes on for a long time.
Yeah. So that volleying went back and forth for a while. And then this year, Not a Surf was due to take a break after 20 years, and it seemed like the perfect time to do it. So
Their first break in 20 years.
Yeah.
That's nice, a break in 20 years.
Yeah. Crazy hours. Yeah.
So how did you normally write alone? I mean, you have collaborated, but you usually write alone.
Much,
so how do you sort of broach that the collaboration process?
Well, I think we both usually write. We do usually write alone. I know I do. For me, it's a very solitary thing, and so I was a little bit nervous about the idea of getting together in a room with someone else and writing. So I was a little uncomfortable at first, just because I felt so vulnerable, because you're accessing these deep feelings, you know, to put them in the songs, and you feel a little bit exposed. But at the same time, I knew that he understood the process because he does the same thing, and it just took a day or so for me to feel comfortable doing it with him, writing.
For a couple of weeks. That's hilarious. For a couple of weeks, every time one of us would propose a line, we would say, like, this is probably totally stupid, but it's probably totally dumb. You're not going to like it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. Don't worry about it.
It's terrible. It's the worst thing ever. I know.
And then eventually got over that and
just said, here's a line.
And we could be really honestly critical, and neither of our feelings would be hurt, because I know he's an excellent songwriter. So, and he has great instincts. So if he had a comment like this line's a little funny, or you know, this needs something here, and I would trust that he was coming from a place of goodness and not trying to hurt me.
I found myself when I was listening to the record thinking, all right, I'm trying to figure out who this song started with.
Right.
I mean, did you sort of, were some of the songs more one person's than the others, and then you'd sort of bring them to each other? Is that?
Honestly, they all are.
In the end, we started out trying to pull things together, but then it ended up being we would each bring things.
Right. That wasn't the intent to do it separately, but what we did end up doing was kind of bringing songs that were not finished, but whose heart or skeleton was kind of in place, and then used each other as editors, which I found to be the really valuable thing, was that instead of hemming and hawing myself about whether some line was good or whether, you know, the chorus was catchy enough or whatever, or if it repeated too many times, I just ask Juliana and take her opinion as final, which is like a shortcut. You know, so not only was it quicker to make because I only had to write half the songs, which is incredibly convenient.
It's very
and
efficient.
and it's more than dividing it by 2 because the last 3 or 4 are really, really killers. You know, to really finish a record, that finish line is ever distant.
You were telling me upstairs that I mean, you've actually written with Dan Wilson recently, and you were in that case you appreciated having somebody who was sort of a finisher, and you were kind of, what did you describe yourself as, kind of a meanderer?
Oh, you know, I think about this. Michael Lerner from Telekinesis. He's
Yeah.
he's really young and he's an absolute finisher, and I'm a dawdler.
You're a dawdler. And Juliana, how would you describe yourself?
You're a finisher.
I guess I'm a finisher. Yeah, it's like yeah. I know that feeling. There's an ending point when you know when the song is done. You're like, yes. It's like going. I keep
you do
using.
know. That's
yeah,
interesting.
for me, well,
Yeah.
I know when it's done. I keep using this analogy over and over, but it's like when a tennis player hits an ace or something on the court, and you see him go, yes, and it's like
you
that
actually do that in the
feeling.
studio?
Well, I've started to.
You have?
Yeah, because it's fun.
true.
But that is not to say that it happens quickly. I don't always get to that point quickly. Sometimes it takes months and months and months to finish, and you know, I know that it's not done until it's done.
Right. How about you?
You know.
Do you carry songs with you for like years sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes there's a bit that I can't marry to anything else. I can't plug it into anything else. I just can't do anything with it. And I've often thought it'd be fun to have a party of, you know, invite songwriters over, and everyone has to bring like an orphan part, and you know, try and hook up all the verses and choruses and see who gets along.
That could be really interesting.
Yeah, it could be, the price of
couple of-
admission would be just having a bit that you couldn't finish.
A couple of cocktails later, it could be
Right,
really cool.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
What is that Mulligan Stew song? Mulligan Stew. Is that what Mulligan Stew is? So everyone brings something.
It is kind of like
Oh,
that's
right.
Yeah.
Well, Stone Soup is
Stone
when we start
Soup.
with
That's
that.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Song
Yeah.
Stone
Read that to
Soup.
my kids.
But sometimes I know it's done, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah. It's. I was also struck by how easily both of your voices blended together. I mean, I sort of describe it as it's almost like they swim together. It's like, and you, as I was saying, I mean, you have such a distinctive voice. Every time I hear it on the radio, I know exactly who it is. But this, I mean, it really works. It's, and it seems like it worked right away.
Yeah, and it was
Cool.
that feeling for me too, the feeling of surprise and happiness. Like, wow, this is really special. It's something that, it's like our voices just kind of go like that, and it's so easy. We don't have to struggle at all. Even singing in unison with him, which theoretically is kind of a difficult thing to sing the same melody as someone, but with him it's really easy. We can just blend. Really, yeah.
That's entirely natural. I don't have to. I mean, do you have to work at this?
No, not really, right?
You know, no, it's come quite easily. I mean, you know, I just don't know if, like harmonically, it feels like we're, you know, siblings or something, which is, I really like that sound of sibling singing. I remember Not a Surf played in Galway, in Ireland, and the day after the show, we had a morning to walk around the market square, and it was the first nice day of the year, and all these people were out singing, and there were all these siblings, all these pairs of siblings singing in unison. It was really striking. I don't know if that stayed in my mind, and then when we started doing this, it seemed like really appealing.
I mean, what did you think when you first heard yourself sing together?
Well, it was like in the stairwell,
Yeah.
in the stairwell at Joe's pub. It's just it's hard to explain. It's just like like finding a long lost something that you didn't know was missing.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice surprise to find that we blend like that, and it's not something that you can really look for, or you can look for it, but you don't always find it.
You guys have been touring for the last few weeks, right?
10 days.
10 days, a massive global tour.
This will be our 11th time doing anything, you know, singing it all in front of anybody but an engineer.
And how's it been going?
Right.
Yeah. It's do you need? I mean, when you've been doing something for 20 years, do you need a break like this?
Oh, no, but it's really nice and it's really refreshing. And Not a Surf played a show a couple of weeks ago for our record label. Barsuk had their 15th anniversary. And we got together to practice, and it was so much fun because I hadn't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and we were all like kind of smiling, you know, because like, oh yeah, it's good to walk away and come back and pick it up again and not take it for granted.
I mentioned to Juliana when I was upstairs, I'm a big fan of your book. You had some reservations about your book, but if you haven't read her book, it's one of my favorite books about the music business because it's really honest. And you've kind of walked away and come back a number of times to this business.
Yeah, I keep trying to quit. But I keep trying to quit the...
But there's some claw that drags you back?
Well, the claw is just the claw of writing the songs. You know, the business and the touring. This tour has been really fun, but my own tours, they're just so grueling, and I get so wiped out, and they're really hard on me. And then the business, you know, I hate promoting myself. I just want to write songs and record them. That's what I love to do. I'm not a good self-promoter. It doesn't come naturally to me. But I keep being pulled back to just the writing.
You're not tweeting and like all
Well,
that stuff? Well, you do
I
actually.
tweet, but it's because I want to be able to keep making music, and I need to have people buy it so I can continue to not have to have a day job, because I need the time to write songs. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, it's a really exciting collaboration. I'll shut up and get out of the way and let you guys play. It'll take a minute, I think, for you all to get set up, but thank you very much. Minor Alps, Matthew Cause, Juliana Hatfield.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.